HFY Ashes. The memories of Earth were fading. Ancient history taught to children who had never felt soil beneath their feet or seen a natural blue sky. 3,000 years had passed since the Arcturians descended upon humanity's cradle world, their massive ships blotting out the sun before they unleashed devastation unlike anything humans had ever witnessed. Commander Elena Reyes stood at the viewport of her ship, the Heimdall, staring out at the endless void of space. Her dark eyes reflected the distant stars as her hand unconsciously touched the pendant at her neck, a tiny vial containing actual Earth soil passed down through 15 generations of her family, the rarest relic in human possession. "Commander, we're approaching the outer defense perimeter of Colony Ascension," her first officer, Tarek, announced from behind her. Still no sign of Arcturian patrols. Elena nodded without turning. "Maintain stealth systems. The Arcturians may not patrol this far out, but they have ears everywhere." Colony Ascension was one of the largest remaining human settlements, though large was relative these days. 40,000 souls carved out an existence inside an asteroid, hiding from the empire that had hunted them to near extinction. Humanity, once billions strong across hundreds of worlds, now numbered fewer than 2 million, scattered in hidden pockets across the galaxy. "Do you think it's true?" Tarek asked, his voice lower now. "The archives they discovered." Elena finally turned. "We'll know soon enough." When they docked at Ascension, Governor Larson himself met them at the airlock. A tall man with prematurely white hair, his face bore the weight of leadership in desperate times. "Commander Reyes, thank you for coming so quickly," he said, extending his hand. "What we found, it changes everything." He led them through the cramped corridors of the colony. Unlike the elegant, expansive habitats humans had built before the fall, Ascension was purely functional. Exposed pipes, recycled air, and the constant hum of machinery keeping everyone alive. 3 months ago, one of our deep space salvage teams found a derelict vessel, Larson explained as they walked. Pre-fall human design, but not military. A researcher's ship that managed to escape during the initial Arcturian attack on the Orion colonies. They entered a sealed chamber where a holographic display dominated the center of the room. A young woman with close-cropped hair stood beside it, her eyes widening slightly at the sight of Elena. "Commander Reyes, this is Dr. Maya Chen, our chief archivist," Larson said. "She's been decoding the vessel's data cores." "Commander," Maya nodded respectfully. "I never thought I'd meet the ghost of Polaris in person." Elena's jaw tightened at the mention of her infamous call sign. The Battle of Polaris had been both her greatest victory and deepest shame. The only time in 3 centuries that humans had successfully destroyed an Arcturian capital ship, but at the cost of the entire human settlement they'd been trying to protect. "What did you find, Dr. Chen?" Elena asked, ignoring the reference. Maya activated the holographic display. This ship belonged to Dr. Elias Kendrick, a xenorchaeologist who specialized in studying extinct civilizations. Before Earth fell, he made a discovery that the Arcturians were desperate to suppress. The hologram shifted to show strange symbols and diagrams. "The Arcturians aren't the first galactic empire," Maya continued. 3 million years ago, a species called the predecessors ruled this galaxy. They vanished mysteriously, but they left behind weapons of immense power. Dr. Kendrick found evidence that humans have a unique genetic marker that allows us to activate predecessor technology. "That's why they attacked Earth," Larson interjected. "Not conquest. Fear. They discovered what we were capable of accessing." Elena studied the holographic diagrams. "Are you saying there's a predecessor weapon we can use against the Arcturians?" Maya nodded. "According to Kendrick's research, there's a predecessor facility hidden in the Cygnus Reach. If we can access it, we could fight back." Elena finished. "Actually fight back." For 3,000 years, humanity had been running. The Arcturians had hunted them relentlessly, destroyed their colonies whenever discovered, and proclaimed to the galaxy that humans were dangerous vermin to be exterminated. The few human resistance cells that existed could do little more than occasionally raid supply depots or sabotage minor outposts before disappearing again. "This is a chance, Alina," Larson said quietly. "Maybe our only one." Alina wasn't so easily convinced. The Cygnus Reach is deep in Arcturian territory. Even with our stealth technology, getting there would be nearly impossible. "That's why we need you," Maya said. "Your ship, your crew, your reputation." Alina's reputation was built on being unpredictable, ruthless when necessary, and impossibly lucky. She had been fighting the Arcturians for 20 years, longer than most resistance fighters survived. Her small fleet, just 3 ships, had become legendary among both humans and their enemies. "I'll need to see all of Kendrick's research," Alina said finally. "And if I do this, I choose my own team." Over the next week, Alina studied everything they had recovered from the derelict ship. The more she learned, the more she became convinced. This wasn't just another desperate gamble. It was their best hope. Her second-in-command, Tarek, remained skeptical. "Even if this predecessor facility exists, and even if we can access it, how do we know it contains weapons? It could be anything: archives, art, scientific instruments." "Because the Arcturians are still looking for it," Alina replied, showing him intercepted communications they had decoded. "After 3,000 years, they're still searching the Cygnus Reach. Whatever is there, they're terrified of us finding it." Alina assembled her team carefully. Beyond her existing crew, she recruited Maya Chen for her knowledge of Kendrick's research. She also sought out Corey Vash, a former salvager known for his unparalleled skill with ancient technology, and Darian Wolf, once an Arcturian slave who had escaped and knew their security protocols better than any human alive. The most controversial addition was Jan, a non-human alien from the Sylvanian species. The Sylvanians were one of the few alien races that had shown humanity compassion after the fall, occasionally providing aid or sanctuary despite risking Arcturian wrath. John's natural ability to sense energy fields would be invaluable in locating the hidden facility. "Are you sure about the alien?" Tarek asked privately, the night before their departure. "I trust John more than most humans," Alina replied. "The Sylvanians have helped us when no one else would." "And what about the Cygnus operative?" Tarek pressed. Alina's expression hardened. Darian Wolf had been more than just an Arcturian slave. He had been property of a high-ranking Arcturian commander. Some believed he had earned his freedom by betraying a human resistance cell. "We need him," she said simply, "and he needs redemption." The Heimdall departed Colony Ascension under the cover of an asteroid storm, along with Alina's 2 other ships, the Valkyrie and the Hermes. Their journey would take them through 3 heavily patrolled sectors before they reached the Cygnus Reach. The first week passed without incident. They kept to the shadows of dead systems and the turbulence of nebulae, places where Arcturian sensors were less effective. Alina spent much of her time in her quarters, studying the star charts and Kendrick's notes, searching for clues about the facility's exact location within the vast expanse of the Cygnus Reach. On the 10th day, disaster struck. They were passing through the remains of a shattered moon system when Arcturian patrol ships appeared without warning. "Proximity alert," the sensor officer shouted. 3 Arcturian frigates at bearing 045. "Stealth systems compromised," reported Tarek from his station. "They spotted us, Commander." Alina's mind raced through options. Fighting 3 frigates was suicide. Running would lead the Arcturians straight to them once pursuit began. "Open a channel to the Valkyrie and Hermes," she ordered. "Prepare for Emergency Protocol Hydra." Protocol Hydra was a desperation tactic. The 3 ships would split up, each taking a different escape route, hoping at least one would make it through. The Heimdall, carrying the core team and research, would have the best chance. "Commander," interrupted Jen. The Sylvanian's multifaceted eyes focused intently on the sensor display. "There is something unusual about these patrol ships. Their energy signature is inconsistent." Alina hesitated, then made a decision that went against all her training and instincts. Hold position. Do not run. The crew stared at her in disbelief, but Elena's attention was fixed on the approaching Arcturian ships. Something wasn't right about their approach vector. Too direct, too obvious. Incoming transmission. The communications officer announced, surprise evident in his voice. They're hailing us. On screen, Elena ordered. The view screen flickered to life, but instead of the insectoid features of an Arcturian, a human face appeared. An older man with a scared face and a grim expression. Commander Reyes, he said, this is Admiral Tenzin of the Free Terran Alliance. I believe we have much to discuss. Elena felt as though the deck had dropped from beneath her feet. The Free Terran Alliance was a myth, a story told to give hope to humans across the galaxy. A rumor of a massive human fleet that had escaped the initial destruction of Earth and established a hidden fortress beyond Arcturian reach. Prove your identity, she demanded, her hand hovering over the emergency jump controls. The man on screen smiled slightly. You wear your grandmother's soil around your neck. Your first ship was called the Nemesis, and at Polaris you made the only choice you could. Few people knew these details, especially the truth about what happened at Polaris. How did you find us? She asked, still cautious. We've been watching Colony Ascension. When you left with Dr. Chen, we knew something significant had happened. His expression grew more serious. What you're seeking in the Cygnus Reach. We've been searching for it too. But we need to move quickly. The Arcturians have increased their presence in that sector tenfold in recent weeks. Their ships docked in the shadow of a gas giant's rings, and Admiral Tenzin came aboard the Heimdall with just 2 aides. In person, he was even more imposing, tall and weathered, with eyes that had seen too much war. For centuries, the Alliance has operated in absolute secrecy, Tenzin explained as they sat in Elena's ready room. We've built our strength, gathered allies, and waited for the right moment to strike. Dr. Kendrick's research could be that moment. How many of you are there? Elena asked, still processing the reality of the Alliance's existence. Over 30 million humans, spread across 12 hidden strongholds, Tenzin replied. And we have alliances with 7 non-human species who also suffer under Arcturian rule. The number stunned Elena into silence. 30 million, more than 15 times what they believed remained of humanity. Why reveal yourselves now? Tarek asked, suspicion evident in his voice. Because the Arcturians have found something in the Cygnus Reach, Tenzin replied grimly. Something that has them pouring resources into the region. We believe they've located the general area of the predecessor facility. Maya leaned forward, her expression intense. Have they accessed it? No. Our intelligence suggests they can't activate it without human genetic markers. But they're trying to breach it through sheer force, and if they destroy it before we can access it, we lose our one advantage. Elena finished. So what's your proposal? Tenzin's plan was audacious. The Alliance would launch a major offensive against the Arcturian homeworld, not to defeat them, which was impossible, but to draw away their forces from the Cygnus Reach. Meanwhile, Elena's team, with Alliance support, would slip into the region and locate the facility. This is the moment humanity has waited 3,000 years for, Tenzin said. Our chance to show the Arcturians that destroying Earth was their greatest mistake. As they finalized the details, Elena found herself alone with Tenzin on the Heimdall's observation deck, looking out at the Alliance ships now decloaked nearby, far more numerous and advanced than she had imagined possible. How did you maintain secrecy for so long? She asked. Tenzin's gaze remained fixed on the stars. Discipline, sacrifice, and the understanding that premature action would mean extinction. He turned to her. The humans who scattered after Earth's fall, your ancestors, they served a purpose too. You kept the Arcturians looking outward, hunting ghosts on the fringes, while we built our strength in the shadows. We weren't bait, Elena said sharply. We were survivors. Yes, the strongest of us all, Tenzin agreed. That's why you're leading this mission, Commander. Not an Alliance officer. This is humanity's mission, all of humanity. As they prepared to depart, Alina addressed her expanded team, her original crew, plus Alliance specialists who would accompany them. 3,000 years ago, the Arcturians tried to exterminate us because they feared what we might become, she told them. Today, we show them their fear was justified. Retribution's dawn. The Alliance fleet departed first, their hundreds of ships jumping to light speed in a coordinated sequence that lit up the void like a cascade of shooting stars. Their destination: the Arcturian core systems, where they would launch the largest human offensive since the fall of Earth. Alina watched them go with a mixture of hope and trepidation. The existence of the Alliance changed everything. She thought she knew about humanity's place in the galaxy, yet their plan hinged on her small team's success. Jump coordinates set for the Cygnus Reach, Tarek reported from the helm. Alliance escort vessels standing by. The journey to the Cygnus Reach would take 5 days, even at maximum speed. Alina used this time to integrate the Alliance personnel with her crew and to continue studying Kendrick's research with Maya. The young archivist had become increasingly confident about pinpointing the facility's location based on gravitational anomalies and energy signatures unique to predecessor technology. The predecessors built their facilities to last millions of years, Maya explained as they reviewed the data. They used exotic matter configurations that generate distinct ripples in space-time. And you can detect these ripples? Alina asked. With the Alliance's sensor technology, yes. Once we're in the region, we should be able to narrow the location to within a few thousand kilometers. On the 4th day of their journey, Jan approached Alina privately. The Selvanian's translucent skin pulsed with subtle bioluminescence, a sign of concern among their species. Commander, I must speak with you about Darien Wolf, the alien said, voice a melodic whisper. When near him, I sense disharmony. Alina frowned. Selvanians were known for their ability to detect emotional states and even intentions through bioelectric fields. Explain. His stated motivations and his inner energy do not align, Jan continued. He harbors something deeply hidden, even from himself perhaps. Alina had recruited Wolf despite his controversial past because of his intimate knowledge of Arcturian security systems. As a former living property of an Arcturian commander, he had access few humans ever survived to remember. Keep watching him, Alina instructed, but discreetly. If he's compromised, I want to know before he makes any move. When they arrived at the edge of the Cygnus Reach, the effects of the Alliance offensive were immediately apparent. Long-range scans showed significantly reduced Arcturian presence. Most of their fleet had indeed been pulled away to defend against the Alliance attack. This region contains 14 star systems, Maya briefed the command team. Based on Kendrick's research and the energy signatures we're detecting, the facility is likely in one of these 3 systems. She highlighted them on the stellar map. The Arcturians have mining operations in 2 of those systems, Darien Wolf noted, his voice carrying the strange accent of someone who learned human language from Arcturian translators. Heavy security, even with the fleet diverted. And the 3rd system? Alina asked. Designated uninhabitable. Extreme radiation from its star makes it lethal to Arcturians. They avoid it entirely. Alina studied the 3rd system, a dying red giant star with several scorched planets. That's where we'll find it. The predecessors would have built their facility to withstand stellar conditions for millions of years. They approached the system cautiously, even with the reduced Arcturian presence. The Heimdall and its escort ships used the radiation from the red giant to mask their signatures, slipping between the orbits of dead planets. Maya's sensors detected the anomaly near the 2nd planet, a barren rock that had once been a garden world before its star began to die. The anomaly manifested as a shimmer in space, like looking through heat waves above a desert road. That's it, Maya whispered, almost reverently. A phase-shifted structure. It exists slightly out of sync with normal space-time. Can we access it? Elena asked. "We need to match its phase variance," replied Corey Vash, the technology specialist. "The ship can't do it, but a shuttle might, if modified with the right frequency modulators." They prepared a shuttle while remaining hidden behind the system's outer planets. Corey worked tirelessly to modify the shuttle's shields to match the phase variance of the predecessor facility. The team selected for the ground mission was small: Elena, Maya, Corey, Jian, and, despite Elena's lingering concerns, Darian Wolf. As they made final preparations, an Alliance escort ship detected approaching vessels. "Commander," the communications officer called out. "Multiple Arcturian signatures entering the system. They're on an intercept course." "How did they find us?" Tarek demanded. "They didn't," Elena realized, her gaze shifting to Darian Wolf, who stood too still, his expression too calm. "They were led here." Wolf's hand moved to his belt, but Elena was faster. Her weapon was aimed at his chest before he could draw his own. "How long have you been working for them, Darian?" "I never stopped," he replied, his demeanor changing entirely, posture straightening, voice hardening. "Did you really think they would let a valuable asset like me escape? They'd been tracking everything I've seen, everything I've heard." The implants, Elena realized. All Arcturian slaves were implanted with tracking and control devices. "You kept yours active." "The Arcturians found this facility decades ago," Wolf continued, "but they couldn't access it. They needed human genetic markers, specific ones. They needed you, Commander Reyes." Understanding dawned on Elena. "My family's lineage. The soil pendant. Your bloodline carries the strongest predecessor activation genes ever recorded. The Arcturians have been manipulating your family for generations, guiding you to this moment." The revelation struck Elena like a physical blow. Had her entire life been orchestrated by the very enemies she'd sworn to destroy? "Commander," Tarek's voice came urgently over the comm. "Arcturian vessels will be in weapons range in 10 minutes. Elena made her decision instantly. "Launch the shuttle now. Continue with the mission." "Elena," Tarek began to protest. "The Heimdall will draw them away," she continued. "Give us time to reach the facility." "And what about him?" Tarek asked, referring to Wolf. Elena's gaze never left the traitor. "He's coming with us. The Arcturians want me to activate the facility. Let's see what happens when I do." The shuttle launched amidst chaos as the Heimdall and its escorts engaged the approaching Arcturian ships. The massive firefight lit up the system, providing cover for the small shuttle as it slipped toward the phase-shifted anomaly near the second planet. Inside the shuttle, Wolf sat restrained while Corey worked frantically to align their shields with the facility's phase variance. "We're matching now," he announced as the shuttle shuddered violently. Through the viewports, space itself seemed to ripple and part. Where there had been empty space above the barren planet, a massive structure phased into existence, a gleaming citadel of impossible architecture with spires that seemed to bend reality around them. "It's beautiful," Maya breathed. They docked at what appeared to be an entry port. The facility's systems recognized their approach and accommodated their shuttle automatically. As they prepared to disembark, Elena turned to Wolf. "You're coming with us," she told him. "One wrong move, and I'll leave you here forever." The interior of the facility defied human comprehension. Spaces that seemed larger inside than outside, corridors that curved through dimensions beyond the three humans could perceive. The air was perfectly breathable, the temperature ideal. "It's adapting to us," Maya realized. "The entire facility is responding to our presence." They followed indicators that appeared as floating lights, guiding them deeper into the structure. The central chamber was a vast dome with a platform at its center, surrounded by equipment unlike anything humans had ever built. "What is this place?" Elena wondered aloud. "Not a weapons facility," Jan observed, their bioluminescence pulsing with excitement. "This is something far more significant." Maya approached a console that activated at her touch, displays appearing in the air around them. It's a seed ship, she said in awe. The predecessors didn't die out or disappear. They evolved. This facility was designed to help other species follow their path. What path? Elena demanded. Transcendence, Maya replied, her fingers dancing across the holographic interfaces as she absorbed the information. The predecessors believed that technological and biological evolution would eventually merge. This facility contains the means to accelerate that process. That's why the Arcturians feared us, Elena realized. Not because we could use predecessor weapons against them, but because we could evolve beyond them. A deep rumble shook the facility. Outside, the battle had escalated. The Arcturians had realized where they were and were attempting to breach the phase variance. Commander, Tarek's voice came through, broken with static. Alliance reinforcements have arrived, but the Arcturians have deployed their dreadnoughts. We can't hold them off much longer. Elena stared at the platform in the center of the chamber. What happens if I activate it? Maya's expression was grave. According to these records, it would begin the transcendence process for any compatible species in range. For humans, it would unlock our next evolutionary step. And the Arcturians. Their biology is incompatible. That's why they feared this technology. It would leave them behind. Another explosion rocked the facility. Their time was running out. Do it, Wolf said unexpectedly. Elena turned to him, suspicious. Why would you want that? Wolf's expression had changed, a strange mixture of resignation and hope. Because I lied before. The Arcturians didn't send me. I escaped on my own. But I knew they were tracking me, so I used myself as bait to lead you here, where you'd be forced to activate the facility. You wanted me to find this place. Humanity deserves its chance, Wolf said simply. I've seen what the Arcturians are capable of. They'll never stop hunting us. This is our only hope. Elena hesitated only a moment before stepping onto the platform. The facility responded immediately, lights pulsing around her. Her pendant, the vial of earth soil, began to glow with internal light. It's recognizing the genetic markers in your cells, Maya explained, reading the displays. And something in the soil, too. Earth itself was part of the key. Energy surged through the facility, radiating outward in expanding waves. Elena felt it pass through her, a sensation like being unmade and remade in an instant. Around her, she saw Maya, Corey, and even Jian enveloped in the same energy. Outside, the effect spread rapidly. On the Heimdall and the other human ships, crews experienced the same transformation. Knowledge flooding their minds, bodies adapting, consciousness expanding. The wave continued, faster than light, reaching distant human colonies, alliance strongholds, and eventually, even the scattered remnants of humanity across the galaxy. In the heart of the facility, Elena understood what was happening. The predecessors hadn't built weapons. They had created the means for worthy species to inherit their legacy. Humanity, with its unique genetic compatibility, was being offered that gift. The Arcturian assault faltered as they witnessed the transformation unfolding before them. Their ancient fear realized at last. 3,000 years after the fall of Earth, humanity transcended, not through vengeance or war, but through evolution. The scattered children of Earth were united in a shared consciousness that spanned the galaxy, their potential finally unleashed. In the aftermath, Elena stood on the bridge of the Heimdall, looking out at the stars with new eyes. The Arcturians had retreated, their fearsome fleet now seeming primitive and limited. What now, Commander? Tarek asked beside her, his consciousness now linked with hers and all humanity. Elena smiled. For the first time in 3 millennia, humanity's future was not defined by survival or revenge. Now, she said, we rebuild. The soil pendant still hung around her neck, but it no longer glowed. Its purpose fulfilled, it had returned to being what it always truly was, a reminder of where they came from, not what they were running from. Earth was gone, but humanity had found something greater than vengeance. They had found their destiny among the stars.